Urban farming.
Yeah, urban farming.
You guys sent in this really interesting article
It caught my eye, too.
about this rooftop farm in Paris, France.
A rooftop farm in Paris.
And honestly, it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Rooftop tomatoes, sure, I get it.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a soil-free farm here.
No soil.
Yeah, no soil. And they're producing like 1,000 kilograms of produce every single day.
That's a lot of food.
Right. It's crazy. So it got me thinking, could this maybe be the future of food? I mean, is this what we're looking at? What do you think?
Well, it definitely raises some fascinating questions about the future of food.
Exactly.
I mean, what's so captivating about this Parisian farm, it's how they've managed to blend cutting-edge technology with something so basic, our need for fresh, good food.
Fresh food.
And they're doing it on a huge scale.
Huge scale. That's what I was thinking.
It's massive. We're talking almost 2 football fields.
2 football fields. Wow.
Up on a rooftop, just overflowing with all kinds of produce. Strawberries, lettuces, herbs.
Right about the herb.
Even aubergines.
Aubergine.
Yeah, all of this happening without a speck of soil.
It's wild. The article talked about aeroponics.
Yeah, aeroponics.
Which is this method where plants are basically hanging in the air.
Banging.
Yeah, and their roots get misted with this nutrient-rich water. Honestly, it sounds a little science fiction-y.
It does, a little bit, doesn't it?
So how does it actually work?
Well, think of it like this. You've got a network of pipes and towers, almost like a vertical garden.
Vertical garden. I can picture that.
Instead of soil, you've got the plants anchored in something light, like coconut fiber.
Coconut fiber.
And their roots, they just dangle.
They just dangle.
Yeah, freely. And these exposed roots, they get bathed in this superfine mist.
A mist.
Yeah, a mist of water.
Okay.
Packed with all the nutrients they need.
Oh, wow.
So it's a closed system. Very little water gets wasted.
How much are we talking about?
We're talking a 90% reduction in water usage compared to traditional farming.
90%?
90! It's incredible. Plus, it's incredibly space efficient.
Space efficient.
You can grow so much more food in such a smaller area.
Okay, that's starting to make more sense now.
Yeah.
Less water, less space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the whole sustainability angle.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta ask, doesn't all this fancy technology make it super expensive?
That's a really common misconception, actually.
Really?
Yeah. There is an initial investment, of course.
For the setup, yeah.
But aeroponics is surprisingly affordable to operate.
Affordable.
The pumps and the misting systems, they're actually energy efficient.
Oh, wow.
And you're avoiding a lot of the costs associated with managing soil,
What do you mean?
like tilling or dealing with pests that live in the soil.
Ah, right.
Plus, think about the transportation costs.
Transportation. Yeah.
Food that is grown right there in the heart of a city.
Right.
It doesn't need to travel those hundreds of miles to reach your plate.
So efficient, potentially cost-effective.
Right.
And the article mentioned the flavor, too.
Oh, yeah.
Of the produce.
Yeah.
Apparently amazing.
Amazing.
Because the plants can focus all their energy on growing delicious fruits and vegetables instead of tough skins for long-distance travel.
Interesting.
But let's zoom out a bit. I mean, this Paris farm is just one example, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
This article mentioned some other innovative urban farms.
There are so many popping up all over the world.
Really?
Yeah, it's a global trend. We're seeing urban farms taking root in shipping containers in Shanghai.
Container?
Underground car parks in Tokyo are being transformed into mushroom farms.
Wow.
And even abandoned buildings in Detroit
Really?
are sprouting new life as vertical farms.
It sounds like something out of a futuristic movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Cities becoming self-sufficient with little oases of fresh food tucked away in all these unexpected places. Is that the ultimate goal of this urban farming movement?
I think it's less about complete self-sufficiency and more about creating a food system that's resilient and diverse.
Resilient and diverse.
Yeah. Bringing food production closer to the people who actually eat the food. That strengthens local economies. It reduces our reliance on these really long and fragile supply chains.
Makes sense.
And provides urban communities with food that's fresher and more nutritious.
So this Paris farm is not just a cool project. It's part of something much bigger.
Exactly. Much bigger.
And the engineer behind it, Pascal Hardy, he sounds like a real visionary.
He really does.
He even talked about providing 5 to 10% of all urban food consumption through these types of farms. Do you think that's a realistic goal?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah. Can urban farming really change the way we feed our cities as they just keep growing and growing?
Well, that's a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
Urban farming can offer a significant contribution, But it's important to remember it's just one part of a larger solution.
Okay.
And there are some inherent limitations.
Limitations. Oh, okay. Tell me more.
Limitations.
Yeah, I was starting to picture cities just covered in these lush rooftop gardens.
Maybe not quite yet. We need to be realistic about what we can actually grow.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges for urban farming?
Well, for instance, aeroponics.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the perfect solution for every type of crop.
What do you mean?
Some plants just do better with good old-fashioned soil.
Okay.
Root vegetables like carrots or potatoes,
Oh, yeah.
they need space to spread out,
To grow, yeah.
They can be grown hydroponically, but it's often less efficient
Than with soil.
than with soil.
So no potato towers anytime soon.
Not likely. And of course, there are larger plants,
Like trees?
like fruit trees,
Yeah.
which just aren't feasible in a controlled indoor environment.
Right. They need so much space.
You need the height, the sunlight, a whole different ecosystem, really.
Yeah. You can't exactly have an apple orchard sprouting from a rooftop.
Exactly. So yeah, there are some limitations in terms of crop variety.
Okay, that makes sense. What about seasonality?
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, this farm in Paris, it's thriving in the summer. But what happens in the colder months?
That's a big hurdle.
Yeah.
Most projects, just like that one in Paris, are focused on warm weather crops.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of research happening right now trying to adapt these techniques for year-round production.
Really? Like what kind of research? What does that look like?
Well, think climate-controlled greenhouses, innovative lighting systems
Okay.
to mimic sunlight.
Wow.
There's even research into using geothermal energy to heat greenhouses,
Geothermal to heat greenhouses.
especially in those colder climates.
So seasonality is an issue, but sounds like it's not a deal breaker.
It's definitely a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there are solutions coming.
That's great to hear. I'm also curious about the environmental impact.
Yeah.
I mean, the article talked about less water usage, less transportation. But what about all the energy needed for those pumps and those lights?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Aeroponic systems, they do require electricity,
Especially inside, I imagine.
especially indoor vertical farms. And it really depends on the source of that energy.
Right, because if it's coming from fossil fuels,
Exactly.
that would offset some of the environmental benefits.
It could. That's why a lot of urban farms are moving towards renewable energy sources.
Solar panels, things like that.
Like solar panels, exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I imagine that really reduces their carbon footprint.
Significantly, yes.
Huh.
But there are also questions about the materials used in these systems.
What do you mean?
Think about all the plastics
In the pipes?
in the pipes, the towers.
Ah, right.
So there's a potential for waste.
Okay, yeah.
But people in the industry are getting more and more aware of this. They're looking for more sustainable materials,
Like what?
like recycled plastics,
Oh, yeah.
biodegradable materials,
Interesting.
things like that.
So it seems like with urban farming, they're constantly evolving, constantly adapting
Oh, absolutely.
to meet those challenges.
Mm.
But I'm also wondering, what about the human element?
Oh, the people.
Yeah, the people. Who's running these farms, making sure they're running smoothly?
That's actually something I find really fascinating.
What do you mean?
You see a really interesting mix of people drawn to urban farming.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You've got those tech-savvy millennials, the ones who are passionate about sustainability.
Yeah.
They see this as a way to use their skills for good.
Make a difference.
Exactly. And then you have the experienced farmers who are looking for new opportunities, new ways to adapt to a changing climate.
So it's a blend of like traditional knowledge and new technology.
I think that's a great way to put it. And it's not just about growing the food.
What else is it about?
It's creating jobs.
Jobs.
In engineering,
Right.
data analysis, even marketing. I mean, these farms have to sell their produce.
Right. They need to make money.
Exactly.
So it's not just about growing food, it's about building a whole new ecosystem around urban agriculture.
Yeah.
I can see how that would revitalize communities, bring in innovation.
Exactly. It's about revitalization. It's about connection.
Connection.
And beyond just the economic benefits, urban farms are becoming these hubs for education,
Education.
community engagement.
Oh, wow.
They give people the chance to learn about sustainable food systems, connect with their neighbors,
Yeah.
get their hands dirty,
Get your hands dirty. I like that.
participating in the planting, the harvesting. It's pretty cool.
It's like bringing the countryside into the city.
A little bit, yeah.
I love that. Reconnecting people with where their food actually comes from,
Yeah.
even in a busy urban environment. But I have to wonder, What does all of this mean for the average person?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Is urban farming just a fad,
Hmm.
or can it actually change the way we eat?
I think it's more than just a fad. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I'm already seeing the impact in my own neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
There's this community garden a few blocks from my house.
It started in an empty lot, and now they're selling produce to local restaurants.
That's fantastic. That's a great example of urban farming becoming part of the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's where its true potential lies, you know?
What do you mean?
It's not about replacing traditional agriculture.
Mhm.
It's about complementing it,
Okay.
creating something more local,
Mm-hmm.
diverse,
Mm-hmm.
a food system that can bounce back from challenges.
Resilient.
Yeah.
That's a great word. Resilient.
Yeah.
Because with climate change and everything else,
Yeah.
we need more options, right? We need
Yeah.
backups.
Absolutely. Urban farming could be a really important buffer against those disruptions.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. If your lettuce is growing a few blocks from your home,
Yeah.
you're not as affected by things like transportation issues or bad weather.
Oh, that's a good point.
That could impact farms hundreds of miles away.
That makes a lot of sense. And it brings up food security, too, which the article talked about.
Mhm.
Could urban farming help address food deserts?
That's a huge part of this movement for sure. Yeah.
Urban farms can give communities the power to grow their own food,
Mm-hmm.
create jobs, improve access to healthy and affordable produce.
So it's not just about the food itself.
Right.
It's about the impact on people.
The social impact,
Yeah.
the economic impact.
Yeah.
And it circles back to awareness,
Mm-hmm.
connection.
Connection, yeah.
When people are involved in growing their own food,
Yeah, even in a small way.
even in a small way,
Yeah.
it changes how they think about what they're eating.
Oh, I totally agree. I have a little herb garden on my windowsill,
There you go.
and it really does make a difference. It makes me appreciate my food more.
Imagine that feeling
Yeah,
across a whole community.
that'd be pretty amazing.
It creates a sense of ownership, pride, responsibility.
It's kind of making me want to go start a rooftop garden right now.
Well, maybe not everyone has the space for a rooftop farm, but
Uh,
think about all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Community gardens, vertical farms in those old buildings we talked about,
Yeah.
even hydroponic systems in homes and schools.
Yeah.
Schools, that's an interesting thought. Could urban farming be part of the curriculum?
It already is in some places.
Wow. Imagine kids growing up,
Yeah,
learning about sustainability,
exactly.
understanding where their food comes from.
What a concept, right?
Yeah. This has been eye-opening. I'm seeing urban farming in a whole new light now.
Yeah.
It's more than a trend. It's a real movement.
It is. It's changing how we think about food, about our cities, about the future.
It really is. And the thing that excites me the most is that it's not just about technology. It's about people.
It's about people coming together.
Exactly. To create a better future. More sustainable. More delicious.
And it's happening right now, all around us.
Well, that about wraps it up for our deep dive into urban farming. But this is just the beginning, really. There's so much more to learn, so much to explore. So we encourage you all to check out what's happening in your own communities.
Yeah, get involved.
Maybe start a little garden of your own, volunteer at a local farm. Just start asking questions about where your food comes from. Wherever this journey takes you, we're excited to see what grows from here. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep those minds curious and those gardens growing.
Vocabulary words with definitions and examples from Parisian vertical farming. 1. Urban farming, the practice of cultivating, processing, and distributing food in or around urban areas. Example: urban farming is becoming increasingly popular in cities around the world. 2. Aeroponics, a method of growing plants without soil, using a mist of nutrient-rich water to nourish their roots. Example: aeroponics is a sustainable way to grow crops in urban areas. 3. Sustainability, the ability to maintain ecological balance by avoiding depletion of natural resources. Example: urban farming promotes sustainability by using less water and space. 4. Resilient, able to recover quickly from difficulties or adapt to change. Example: a resilient food system can better withstand disruptions like climate change. 5. Vertical garden, a garden where plants are grown in a vertical arrangement, often on walls or towers. Example: The vertical garden in the community center is a beautiful and space-efficient way to grow vegetables. 6. Hydroponics, a method of growing plants in a nutrient-rich water solution instead of soil. Example: hydroponics is often used in urban farming to grow leafy greens. 7. Food security, the state of having reliable access to sufficient and nutritious food. Example: urban farming can help address food security in low-income neighborhoods. 8. Fragile supply chain, a vulnerable system for producing and delivering goods, easily disrupted by external factors. Example: urban farming reduces dependence on fragile supply chains for fresh produce. 9. Geothermal energy, heat energy generated and stored within the earth, often used as a renewable energy source. Example: some urban farms use geothermal energy to maintain year-round production. 10. Community engagement, active participation and involvement of local people in community activities. Example: urban farms promote community engagement by offering workshops and volunteer opportunities. Here's an extended list of vocabulary words and phrases from Parisian vertical farming, along with definitions and examples. 1. Aeroponics, a method of growing plants in the air with their roots misted with nutrient-rich water. Example: the Paris rooftop farm uses aeroponics to grow produce without soil. 2. Sustainability, the ability to maintain ecological balance by avoiding depletion of natural resources. Example: urban farming promotes sustainability by reducing water and land usage. 3. Resilient, capable of recovering quickly from difficulties or adapting to changes. Example: urban farming creates a resilient food system less dependent on long supply chains. 4. Hydroponics, a method of growing plants in water enriched with nutrients instead of soil. Example: some urban farms use hydroponics to grow crops like lettuce and herbs. 5. Geothermal energy, heat energy generated from the Earth's interior. Example: geothermal energy can be used to heat greenhouses in colder climates. 6. Vertical garden, a method of growing plants on vertical surfaces to save space. Example: the rooftop farm features a vertical garden system to maximize space efficiency. 7. Nutrient-rich, containing a high concentration of nutrients essential for growth. Example: the mist in aeroponics is nutrient-rich, helping plants thrive. 8. Carbon footprint, the total amount of greenhouse gases produced by human activities. Example: urban farming reduces the carbon footprint by minimizing transportation needs. 9. Food security, reliable access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. Example: urban farms can address food security in communities with limited access to fresh produce. 10. Biodiversity, the variety of life forms in an ecosystem. Example: urban farms contribute to biodiversity by growing a range of crops. 11. Community engagement, active participation in activities that strengthen a community. Example: urban farms foster community engagement by involving locals in planting and harvesting. 12. Tech-savvy, proficient in or knowledgeable about modern technology. Example: tech-savvy individuals are driving innovation in urban farming. 13. Fragile supply chains, vulnerable systems of delivering goods that can be disrupted easily. Example: urban farming reduces reliance on fragile supply chains by growing food locally. 14. Initial investment, the upfront cost required to start a project or venture. Example, setting up an aeroponics system requires a significant initial investment. 15. Renewable energy generated from natural resources that replenish themselves, like solar or wind power. Example, many urban farms use renewable energy to reduce their environmental impact.
Phrases from Parisian vertical farming, along with definitions and examples. 1. Blend cutting-edge technology with basics to combine advanced innovations with fundamental needs or practices. Example, the rooftop farm blends cutting-edge technology with the basics of growing food. 2. Overflowing with produce filled to capacity with a large amount of harvested fruits or vegetables. Example, the rooftop garden was overflowing with produce like strawberries and herbs. 3. Packed with nutrients, containing a high concentration of essential vitamins and minerals. Example, the mist used in aeroponics is packed with nutrients to support plant growth. 4. Initial investment, the upfront cost required to start a project or business. Example, aeroponics requires an initial investment for the setup of its systems. 5. Energy efficient, using less energy to perform the same task, reducing waste and cost. Example, the pumps used in aeroponics are highly energy efficient. 6. Taking root, becoming established or starting to grow. Example, urban farming is taking root in cities around the globe. 7. Revitalize communities to bring new energy or life to a community. Example, urban farming projects have the potential to revitalize communities through job creation. 8. Resilient and diverse, strong and adaptable, with a variety of elements. Example, a resilient and diverse food system can better withstand global challenges. 9. Get your hands dirty, to engage directly in practical work, often in a literal or metaphorical sense. Example, urban farming encourages people to get their hands dirty and learn about food production. 10. Food deserts, areas with limited access to affordable and nutritious food. Example, urban farming initiatives aim to bring fresh produce to food deserts in urban areas. 11. Bounce back from challenges, to recover quickly from difficulties. Example, urban farms can help cities bounce back from supply chain disruptions. 12. Tucked away in unexpected places, hidden or situated in locations that are not immediately obvious. Example, vertical farms are often tucked away in unexpected places like abandoned warehouses. 13. Cutting-edge technology, the most advanced and innovative technology available. Example, the rooftop farm uses cutting-edge technology to grow produce efficiently. 14. Blend with, to mix or combine seamlessly. Example, the farm blends modern techniques with traditional farming knowledge. 15. Take root, to become established or start to develop. Example, urban farming is taking root in cities around the world. 16. Overflowing with, filled to the point of spilling over. Example, the rooftop garden is overflowing with fresh herbs and vegetables. 17. Space efficient, maximizing the use of available space. Example, vertical farming is highly space efficient, ideal for urban environments. 18. Seasonal crops, plants that grow best during specific times of the year. Example, seasonal crops like strawberries thrive in the summer. 19. Adapt to challenges, to adjust or modify to overcome difficulties. Example, urban farms adapt to challenges like limited space and changing weather. 20. Mimic sunlight, to replicate the effects of natural sunlight artificially. Example, innovative lighting systems mimic sunlight to grow crops year-round. 21. Create a buffer to provide protection or cushioning against disruptions. Example, urban farming creates a buffer against food shortages during crises. 22. get your hands dirty to engage in practical or manual work. Example: community gardens encourage people to get their hands dirty and connect with nature. 23. Fragile ecosystems, delicate systems of interconnected life forms that are easily disrupted. Example: urban farming must consider its impact on fragile ecosystems. 24. Revitalize communities to bring new life or energy to a neighborhood or group. Example: urban farms revitalize communities by providing fresh food and jobs. 25. Bring food production closer to grow food near the consumers, rather than in distant locations. Example: rooftop gardens bring food production closer to urban residents. 26. Part of a larger solution, a single element contributing to solving a bigger issue. Example: urban farming is part of a larger solution to global food insecurity. 27. Complement traditional agriculture to enhance or add value to existing farming practices. Example: urban farming complements traditional agriculture by focusing on local needs. 28. Reduce reliance on to decrease dependency on something. Example: local farming reduces reliance on long-distance transportation. 29. Strengthen local economies to boost economic activities and opportunities within a community. Example: selling produce from urban farms helps strengthen local economies. 30. Tucked away, hidden, or situated in an unexpected place. Example: the urban farm is tucked away on a rooftop in the middle of the city. 31. Bounce back from, to recover quickly from setbacks or challenges. Example: resilient food systems can bounce back from supply chain disruptions. 32. Shift the way we think about, to change perspectives or attitudes towards something. Example: urban farming is shifting the way we think about food production.